Hey guys, in this video I'll be showing you how to refresh a room or an office for under 200 bucks. I'm going to go into detail on how I created a white stain for the desks, how I created my calendar wall, and how I executed my pallet wall. Alright, let's get started with my first step, the calendar wall. So for this DIY, some stuff you are going to need. You're going to need some chalkboard paint, and whatever color you decide to choose for your bottom color, you want this color to be darker. You just want to make sure it's a flat color. So I did a flat brown, and then you need a flat white for the top. You also are going to need Elmer's wood glue. It's pretty cheap. You can get it at any hardware store. You're going to need a couple of paintbrushes. The foam paintbrush I would get just to paint the glue on there, and then any other paintbrushes to paint over on top. You're also going to need mini trim moldings. This is the finished product. This is what they're going to look like. You can find these at Home Depot. They're in the molding section, and you can just cut them yourself into whatever sizes you need. And then you're just going to need some regular plywood. Alright, so first off I'm going to show you guys just on a blank piece of plywood. I had a little bit of scraps left. Since I already have the finished product here of what the crackle is going to look like, I'm going to show you guys how to get it done here. So you're going to take your flat brown color and you're just going to paint that on there. And you want it to be a semi-thin layer. It doesn't have to be that thick for the bottom coat. And then you're just going to let that dry completely. It has to be 100% completely dry. Also, let's look at, make sure you get a clean place to do this, because I have to go through and clean my table. I just pretty much fucked that up, so good. Next, for the crackle, once your paint is dried, you're going to generously apply a lot of the wood glue. You can just keep going. Keep going. When I say generously, I mean generously. Should have drawn you guys a picture with the glue. Boom. And you're going to take your foam brush and you're just going to paint it on there. Make sure you coat every piece of it. Doesn't matter if it's neat, you can leave a couple blank spaces. It'll kind of leave some larger cracks in the wood. Once you have your glue all on there, you want to make sure you do short strokes so it'll give kind of a nicer effect on there. Once you get all your glue on there, you're going to let it dry for just a few minutes, probably like 3 minutes tops, 3-4 minutes tops. You want it to still be kind of wet and tacky. And then we're going to go in with the white top coat. So I've only heated this up for about 30 seconds, and you can already see that it looks extremely antique looking. The more you're going to dry it, the more you're going to see the brown in the bottom. Eventually it'll all dry because the glue will all dry. But like in these spots, you can see the glue still needs to dry a little bit versus there being able to see your undercolor. So once your plywood dries, this is what it should look like. So next, for this part of the video, you are going to take your piece of plywood. I will put all the dimensions that I cut for all the wood down below in the description. This is a 1 by 1 foot, so I just basically bought a giant piece of plywood, measured it out. I had to get 2 of them, and I cut them there. You can also cut them at home with a razor blade. Just be careful if you're going to do that. And we're going to now paint this with the chalkboard paint, because this is going to be your base for your calendar. So I'm going to go in and paint with the chalkboard paint. First coat, you're just going to want to go in very, very thin, and you're gonna have to do a couple coats just because you want it to get that matte chalkboard look. So you just want to go in again super thin and with the grain of the wood. Next, you're just going to dip into here. I already have one coat on here, so I'm just going to be showing you guys. You're going to want to do a couple of coats on here, and it just dries extremely matte, but you'll be able to write on the board with chalk after. So now that you have all of your chalkboards painted, and you have all of these guys done, what you're going to do now is glue these to, there we go, we're back in focus. Glue these to your chalkboard, and what we're gonna have to do when we do it is you're gonna have to take an X-Acto knife or blade, something like this, and we're gonna cut them at angles, and you're gonna do that on all of them as they corner around so that they form a border rather than sticking them on there like that, because that looks just gross and ugly. So we're gonna cut them both at an angle, and then they'll fit together nicely. So once you have all your little pieces cut out just like that, how I told you with the angle, you have angles on each side. You're just going to take some of your wood glue, you're going to slap it right on here, and you're just going to stick them all on the edges. And then when you're done, you're going to have maybe a couple gaps on the sides. If your cutting was not exact, that's totally fine. You can fill it in with I use the Elmer's glue, but I put it on a paintbrush to kind of fill it in, and then it dries clear so you don't have to worry about anything kind of looking messy there. Once it's done, you'll have something that looks like this, and your chalkboard paint should be dry. So next, to stick your calendars to the wall, you are just going to take your command strips, and I cut them into little pieces, and you just stick them in the corners. So I'm just going to stick it there, and then you peel it, and repeat the step for all the pieces. After you finish adhering all of your command strips, you will have something that looks like this, and you have a full calendar wall. Next up is the pallet wall. I started this process by measuring the wall that I will be using, and I figured out that it was 15 by 9. Then my best friend Will, who happens to work at Ace Hardware, was kind enough to let me borrow their lumber yard as well as use their old pallets, and from there I just cut the pieces out, and then I laid them out in a 15 by 9 dimension on the floor, and I numbered them so I could just kind of toss them onto the wall in order, and it would be nice and easy for me once I had everything finished. The next part of this video can be up to your choosing. I chose to do a white stain on the wood. You can choose to do whatever color you want or leave it natural. But again, I chose to do a white stain, so in this process you just take a plain paintbrush, get a little tub of white stain, and just paint them on there and then wipe them off with a rag. It's as simple as that, and you repeat the steps until you get as dark of a color as you would like. So as you can see, I have numbered all of my pieces of plywood and put them in piles of 10 according to which number group they went with. Next, using your liquid nails, I just applied 2 dots, one on each side of the plank, and just lined up my numbered planks so it was nice and easy, and just glued them straight onto the wall until the wall was completed. Once you have all your wood on the wall, we're going to go in with some caulking, and you're just going to fill in any gaps that you have. I put it in between every piece of wood so it looked even, and then you're going to go over it with a little t-shirt and just smooth it and wipe it into the cracks until you have your wall completed. For this part of the video, I will be showing you guys how to stain a type of wood or desk-like furniture that is in your room. First, you're going to take
wood sandpaper. You're gonna sand down the entire surface, and then we're gonna apply some stain-like substance that I'm gonna show you how to make from paint and water. Stain. All you do is take 1 part paint, 1 part water, mix them together, and then you're just going to apply it to the wood in long strokes with the wood grain. And then you're just going to take a rag and you're just going to wipe it in one fell swoop. After staining this is what it should look like. You're going to go in with as many coats of paint as you want, wipe it off with a towel, and continue to apply coats until you get a finish that you would like. And I just topped it off with some mason jars, set these shelves up, and this clock, which I got at Target, everything for about 50 bucks. To add a fun finishing touch to the wall that goes with the theme, this is just a cool little frame that I got on Craigslist. It was 30 bucks. Search Craigslist, don't go out and pay for something. You can find something that's already weathered, and it looks really cool and fits the vibe of the room. So here you have it. I gave you this, and gave you a princess. Just kidding. Princess Diaries reference, if you don't know it, know it. But anyways, I took a very plain and ugly office, and I turned it into something fun and trendy and pretty Pinterest worthy. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Drop them in the comment section below, and do not forget to subscribe. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Alright, so this is the finished product. We have the pallet wood wall behind me, filled in with all the caulking. Tossed a nice little chair right here. I have this really cool piece that I found on Craigslist. My calendar wall. The little nook over there. The stained desks. All for under 200 bucks.